All set.
Awesome. All right. This is our meeting of March 19th for Public Act 101-0640. This meeting is being held by remote attendance. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Blazik?
Here.
Bo Davis?
Here.
Dawn Bussey is not on. I don't.
Not yet.
Anyone? Not yet. Okay. Cottrill?
Here.
Jenkins?
Here.
Milovic?
Here.
And Whitman.
Here.
There are no public visitors. The SWAN staff, if you'd like to call out.
Sure. Aaron Skog, SWAN Executive Director.
John Tortorella, SWAN Assistant Director.
Ginny Blake, Business Manager for SWAN.
Thank you. Any public comment? There being none, can I have a motion to accept the March 19th SWAN Board meeting agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Who's first?
That would be Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Any changes or corrections? Okay, all in favor? Oh, we have to roll call. Roll call.
Okay. Blazik? Oh, Blazik, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Bo Davis?
Yes. Yes.
I don't see Dawn on yet. Cottrill?
Dawn's not probably going to join us just for
Okay, so she's absent. Okay.
She's got a
Cottrill?
vaccination clinic going
Oh.
in Glen Ellen.
Hmm.
I think you called my name. Yes.
Cottrill, yes, I did. Thank you. Jenkins?
Yes.
Milovic?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm wearing my nephew's earbuds and they keep falling out of my ears and they have little skull and crossbones on them, see? I'm hip like the kids. All right, can we have a motion to approve the SWAN financials, please? Why don't the same people just keep motioning a second time?
So moved.
And a second? Great. Any questions for Aaron? Aaron, do you have anything to point out?
No, other than I did try to write up as much as I could in my report about the financials. I'll just add that we are working on some unpaid invoices that occurred in the prior fiscal year. So Dawn, Ginny, and I are kind of teaming up to make sure that we're reaching out to those libraries. Ginny's been working on some libraries that may have missed some invoices, SWAN member libraries, and then Dawn has been mostly following up with some of the reciprocal borrowing non-SWAN libraries. A lot of those sort of came over from the Rails Finance Department, so we've been doing a good effort to clean that up. And then I'll make a determination, I believe by maybe the May or June meeting, on anything that I think we should write off. It's not a large amount right now. Right now, Dawn and I are tabulating what that would look like. But just so you know, I would rather try to just get all that behind us and not collect, with the exception of Harvey, which is still behind. And they were making a good effort to get caught up, and then a lot of that kind of stopped for 2020. And I did speak with their interim director, whose last day on the job was last week. So their board did have another interim director, but it's not even clear to me if that person is the interim or not. So Harvey's in kind of another weird spot again, just to be clear. I'll let you know maybe more by next month or the following month where things are at, because it seems like I'm going to have to contact their board. But if there's any other questions in the financials, I'm happy to answer them. hearing some vibration.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too. Sure. It was Julie. All right, if there's no other questions about the financials, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Blazik,
Yes.
Bo Davis,
Yes.
Bussey is absent. Cottrill,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Milivek,
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then the next item is to accept the February 19th, 2021 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion? Oh, she's muted.
So moved. I'm trying to figure out what the sound is.
So that happens to me when my cell phone is too close to my computer. So I don't know if that's what's happening to you. And a second.
Second.
And a roll, or any changes to the minutes? A roll call, please.
Blazik, Bo Davis,
Yes.
Bussey is absent. Cottrill,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Milivek,
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I do not have anything to report at all. So I'll pass it on to you, Aaron.
Okay. The only thing I would ask, Ted, is if you and I want to huddle up about board election when you're no longer out of state.
Yeah.
And
I
I
should
do
be-
have the self-nomination form ready to go.
Okay.
And we share the timeline at the quarterly. And in terms of directors that are interested, I'm not sure how many directors are interested yet. I've only heard from one that has expressed interest. So
Okay.
I don't know if you all have had any inquiries. I think we may need to, once the form is ready, I think some of you may want to reach out to some individuals that you think might make good SWAN board members. And then we're also going to have that Rails board library director spot that Paul Mills is not going to be able to run again on that. So I don't know if any of you are interested in that spot. I know Julie, you're running for the ILA spot, and I'm on that ILA slate as well. But
I
if you don't get
actually
that ILA
threw
one,
my hat in the ring.
What's that?
I actually decided to throw my hat in the ring on the Rails one too.
Excellent,
See what happens.
excellent.
Did I take care of that sound? Just
Yeah,
okay. I'm at my mom's house and her desk is weird, so I think it was her. She has a little cooling fan for her laptop that I think was just buzzing.
I'm also at my mom's house, by the way, so that's kind of funny.
that's right. We can hold this meeting from anywhere.
Right? It's good to be home.
All right,
Cynthia, I've
so
been here. Go ahead.
let's look at my report. So just wanted to note some of the, I wanted to just highlight a little bit as far as the budget approval and the participation that we got since we were doing it fully electronic. I also made sure I shared with you what the final vote tallies were and tried to also make sure that if there's any concerns about our bylaws and thresholds and all that all that was met. But it does mean that at some point, I do think when maybe there's, knock on wood, maybe some revisions to the maybe Open Meetings Act. I'm curious how you feel like the balloting system worked for you all, or maybe have some thoughts on the libraries that didn't participate at all in the vote. If you have any insight into that, other than we're always going to have a certain percentage that won't participate even online, let alone it's difficult in person. I think the voting that we have in person is always tricky just because of the commute. You always want to get 100% participation, but I think maybe that's not what we should always think of as the goal here.
I agree that we should not set 100% participation as the goal. We will fail.
I thought 70% participation was fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, comparatively, it is fantastic when you think back to in-person meetings, you know, and that long, you know, 1-by-1 vote. It was like every second one was, there was nobody there. Bueller.
Yeah.
So 70 is, I think, fantastic.
The reports do show that anytime I would have a reminder go out, we'd see participation spike, and then we'd get a little bit the next day, and then it would fall off again. So the reminders seem to be important, but I also don't want to be badgering. But I've learned the reminders really shouldn't be going out, on a Friday. I usually get those out on Monday, first thing in the week, or Tuesday. Try to incorporate a reminder in a newsletter in addition to a SWANcom, just trying to use a variety of means to get word out on things. I'm not seeing a lot of director participation in the forums necessarily, so I'd hope for that to become another kind of means of more communication and engagement. But at this stage of the game, it seems like maybe an online forum for directors isn't having a lot of success, and maybe that's just because I should be promoting it more.
No, Aaron, I think it's about timing. I think in a normal year that forum would have done better. I just think people are pulled in a lot of directions this year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have just been participating in Rails directors only as sort of their number one go-to. It's what they're used to. It's what's incredibly convenient. The idea of having a SWAN specific forum is good because you get, that commonality. But I just think that for convenience, a lot of people have been depending on directors only.
I agree, Jennifer.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's just something that, when you're all used to doing something a certain way,
right,
you continue to do it. And unless you have a little bit more time to spend on trying to do it a different way or using a different platform, right now with so much going on, it's just not something I think that we're finding the time to do. I try to introduce Teams, Microsoft Teams at work, and doing that for our managers meeting rather than on Zoom. But it's proving to be incredibly difficult because everybody's just used to Zoom and they don't even think to go to Teams, or you send a message on Teams and nobody looks at it. And I think it's because we're all just so used to doing things a certain way.
Yeah, I don't think SWAN staff could operate without Teams.
I don't know, we're just having a hard time, Aaron. I don't know what it is. We're not finding it particularly user friendly, but maybe we're not just really trying hard enough. I'm not sure.
Had a similar experience with Teams. We've tried to, we actually have used it for some management team meetings. We've tried to set it up, so that departments can meet and have their own, their own rooms to talk.
Unfortunately, I can't hear Jesse. I think he's.
Sorry.
I don't know if there's.
I can hear you, but you're quiet, Jesse.
Okay.
No, there you go.
Speaking to the microphone. I was just saying, yeah, we've found Teams to be pretty clunky as well. Just the software is, I don't know, it's not as smooth, and yeah, it's an extra thing to check. It's an extra thing on top of regular email, regular message boards, regular meetings.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think we had we've always had some sort of chat tool for SWAN staff. This is probably the third platform we've used. There was one we were using called Jabber for a while, and then I'm forgetting what was before Teams, what we were using. And then Teams is sort of the third one we're on. So I think we've just had a lot more time to sort of adapt to it. And certainly I think our use of Teams just as a communication tool internally has been just a lifesaver for SWAN to like function during the pandemic. So I wouldn't give up on it.
It might be helpful for us to just give a little short presentation on how SWAN uses Teams to work internally, because it does really depend on how you've set up like team groups and special projects so that all the noise isn't to everyone all the time. So we maybe could put something together to help member libraries in that.
Okay, that sounds great. What we use for our internal communication tool, which is very easy and really well liked by the staff, is called Slack. That gets phenomenal use. We really like that.
Yeah, I would say Teams is their Microsoft's answer to Slack. And whether or not, you know, one is better than the other, it seems that to me that if you've got Slack going, it's just more a matter of it, you know, do you like the price, and if your staff like using Slack, I would just keep going with it.
Right.
All right, tell us about the intern, Aaron.
All right, so the intern, I've not met our intern yet, but I thought I'd update you all on us having an intern for SWAN, and this has been really helpful within our Aspen project. We felt like it was a good project, was a good match for the student, and I thought I would at least update you on this, just because you were going to see Tara mention our intern in the operations report. So Dawn, I don't know if there's anything you want to add just yet, just other than this is something that we've been thinking about for a while, and I think it's going well, and we may be continuing to use interns for other projects that we have down the road.
Yeah, I think one reason we wanted to have an intern is that we thought it would be an incredible learning experience for someone, you know, joining our profession. And just like all interns, you know, it probably is more work to have an intern than to do the work yourself. But we also want to give back to the profession, and we think working within SWAN on special projects gives, you know, future library staff just a perspective that they might possibly never get. So we hope to keep doing this and working with Dominican on helping students get kind of that hands-on learning.
I updated you last month about Aspen Discovery and the contract, so this is now the time to approve it. So I included that contract in there. I can try to answer more questions that you have about it if you have them, but they've been great to work with, and I did also note for you all in the email I sent to you all about registering for the GoToMeeting event on Aspen. So that's something that we'll have coming up. And I think that the last meeting of the pilot libraries was really instrumental. We had a fairly long list of features that had been gathered from that group, and Tara did a great job sort of putting together a way of sorting and prioritizing those. And it's something that I think is really, really great from my perspective to see us sort of working, you know, that way, where we can say, here are the major issues that we have with Aspen, and how quickly, you know, these updates are occurring. I think that what we shared at the quarterly is, I think we've had like one enterprise update, whereas Aspen has had 20 in the time that we've been working on it. So it's a really interesting platform and project. It's not without, you know, its issues. You know, we've also been working on some performance issues recently in it and made some fixes. So again, to run these two systems in parallel, I think is just something that I've shared with you all, and I've heard agreement that it's the wise and prudent thing to do. Bywater's also added a second developer to their staff to work on the software development of that. And now there's also some initial talk about what their mobile app would look like for Aspen. So I would say the mobile app is not something that we're going to be as actively working on as the Aspen catalog, but you'll see that after maybe we're a year from now and made a decision, are we going to, you know, drop enterprise, that our focus will then move to the mobile platform, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not picking up that we have libraries unhappy with our mobile app with Blue Cloud Mobile as much as it was with enterprise. So that's why I would say the priority right now isn't, I don't want to spread ourselves too thin on trying to work on mobile and Aspen simultaneously, but I do think that we'll be looking at the mobile app soon after we're kind of made this decision as Aspen what we want to move to. And the Bywater folks have been great to work with. Oh, and you have the auditor recommendation. So that's the end of my report. I don't know if there's anything more questions you have.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I switched, so I ditched the headset. Just wondering, can you briefly say what was that the meeting with the Madison Board of Trustees all about?
Oh, that was a board, their just regular meeting, and they Kathy Bergren had asked me to do a presentation for them on what is SWAN and just sort of an overview.
Okay.
That's not unusual for me to have been invited to do that
Okay.
for some library boards. I think the last one I did was Batavia, where I went out and was at their board meeting in person. They sort of wrapped it, at least at Batavia, they wrapped it into an update on a lot of things. There were department managers there, and then they had a presentation from their auditor. So at least for Mattson, that meeting, it was just me. It was about 10 minutes. Had a couple questions. There was a trustee on Mattson that I had not seen in a long time, and it was good to see him. He was a Metropolitan Library System board trustee way back when, so I hadn't seen Milford in a while, so it was good to say hi.
Aaron, you should remind the members that you can do that, because as you were talking, I was like, you know, I've got new trustees coming on, and
Sure.
it might actually be, you know, now that we're all Zooming anyway, it might be really, really nice to have you talk about SWAN to my board. So maybe at the next quarterly, like put in a plug for that service if you like doing it.
I don't mind doing it at all. I think it's just always, it's more a matter of you as directors, how much you like your boards, like asking all these questions about SWAN or not.
Well,
I'm happy to do it.
This way they can ask you.
Yes, that's right.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, I didn't really know that was a thing that you did. When I saw that, I was kind of like, okay, they're not new to SWAN, so are they leaving SWAN? But that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you all hear anything about Mattson or not. I do, you know, I was pleasantly, you know, surprised to be asked to present, and I'm happy to do it. But yeah, I will put out there that that's something that I'm happy to do. We have a lot of new directors too. So I don't know if they're putting together programs with their boards that maybe they'd want to fit me in maybe a year's planning. I'd also make the plug for, I don't know how many of you do any group trustee events. I've seen a few of those where at least like Oak Park hosted one with five library trustees, and I did a presentation at that meeting in person. Those are always nice. You can get a lot more folks in the room and set up some speakers.
And we are coming up on election season for all of our district libraries, so there could be some significant change out there. So it's the right time to offer this, I think.
I'll add that to the quarterly. And I followed up with Kathy just to say, you know, if they ever have an in-service and want any presentations from SWAN staff, that we're always available for that. Like if you ever wanted us to come out and talk Aspen or anything like that. Operations report. Dawn, I don't know if there's anything you want to highlight or if there's questions from board members right off the bat.
We do see, you know, trends showing we're going upward in circulation, you know, not huge increases, but it is, you know, happening, and that's good to see. Something that I noticed that actually I have been a little nervous about, to be quite honest, is this holds dynamic that we have seen through the pandemic, where our holds have just gone up and up and up and up and up. And I thought, you know, will we ever be able to keep up with this growing amount of holds? But thank goodness in February, we did see a steep decline. And I think that steep decline is due to that February 1 opening date for a lot of libraries. So prior to that, the only way people were getting material was placing holds. So I'm encouraged that I think we're going to, you know, go back to kind of our normal patterns eventually. And resource sharing is, to me, kind of amazing in that we are almost back to our pre-pandemic levels of transiting items. So we're still relying on each other for materials at about the same level we were before COVID. So we were only down 7% in February from the prior year. BIB services staff are doing a lot in the whole management of serials, and we're really looking to continue the work that they've started in serials training. But a survey went out this week on how long issues are retained in libraries to do kind of a mass cleanup. It has been years since we have evaluated kind of the years of coverage that each library has, and we're looking to really get that data cleaned up and an ongoing process annually of removing those issues that are no longer available. Scott's also leading a group of catalogers and other library frontline public service staff in diversity and inclusion in metadata. So that work has started. They're having a working group that will look at those subject headings and provide a cross-reference, and then also work with our vendor Marchive to make sure that those updates are automatically applied when we do our monthly updates for subject headings with Marchive. So that's moving forward. And our item type consolidation efforts, we have added a new item category 5 that will allow some libraries that were hesitant to do this consolidation for statistical reasons. For example, we added a new video type called a new item type called video, and you lose the distinction of Blu-ray, DVD, or combo. So those are now going to be available in this carrier item type, item category 5. So we'll be able to work with more libraries in doing that consolidation.
Don, wouldn't you say some of our cleanup that we also have been working on, at least from the bibliographic and item and serials, is one that there was, I think, a tighter focus on holds during the pandemic, which poked some holes in the way our holds were functioning. So that that led us to doing some cleanup. And then, of course, Aspen, any new catalog change also leads you down the road of making sure your records are of good quality. it can be papered over. Bad records can be papered over by a catalog, and the new catalog will expose a lot of that.
Yeah, and I will just mention on the staff side of Aspen, I was amazed, like when we were tracking down the 6 titles of Dr. Seuss and where those were and you know, kind of doing that research on those, I found Aspen to be the best tool to identify those and give me the catalog keys much easier than Blue Cloud Analytics, much easier than Enterprise or workflows. So I think Aspen is proving in the way that it deals with the MARC data and the bibliographic detail to be a really good tool for technical services as well. We think of it as a public service, you know, patron tool, but it really is a staff tool as well. Support tickets, you know, we're hovering around that same 600-700 ticket a month. We're keeping up. Stephen's team is doing a good job in keeping up with those tickets. And the big projects that are going on right now are migrating all of our legacy services that are on the Rails infrastructure to our Azure environment. So our support site, our OTRS ticketing system, our SWAN mailman list management, and our Cersei Dynix voice automation. We're getting rid of that and going with unique service. So those are all on target. Drop dead date is June 30th, but we think we are probably within about a month of getting those all moved over. And we've looked at, we've talked a little bit about Aspen, and Tara provides just a brief snapshot at this point in time. We're going to have the survey available for patrons to answer for another week. Currently, we're at around 70% of the respondents prefer Aspen over Enterprise. So I think that's all we've gotten. We've had a lot of activity with staff presenting at conferences and going to conferences, bringing back ideas for everyone. So it's been a active learning month as well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very, very refreshing that we are seeing a lot of our staff now are being reached out to as, you know, presenters or library consortia, or staff at library consortia will reach out to me directly about something SWAN is doing, and then something that I'll put together just for us to meet with these libraries. So I can't remember. It's noted here as that Robin and I met with a library consortia in Wyoming called WILD, and that was to talk about the Open Athens platform and how well that works for us. And they're looking at something where they manage all their electronic databases in a statewide platform. Now, granted, they're a smaller entity, but I mean smaller, you know, the population's smaller in terms of their state than Illinois, but I think it's a good place to keep an eye on, because Rails is definitely looking at trying to push for more statewide databases. Their last board meeting, they were at least making an effort as an affirmation that they want to pursue this at the state level, and also get ILA behind this effort. So they may be a little ways off from that. The thing I think about is Open Athens, I think, could be a solution that perhaps when a statewide contract for databases maybe is achieved, I think they're going to need something like an Open Athens to make it all work. Luckily, SWAN has that now, so I'm not worried about SWAN member libraries. I'm not sure if there are state databases offered. Managing that all is certainly going to be a challenge. And it's nice to see Wyoming kind of taking the steps to do something like that. Any other questions on operations? Thank you, Dawn. In terms of the calendar, we do have that one outstanding issue. And then looking ahead, just so you know, we haven't done much for this, but there was a tool that was created for the board to do its own self-evaluation and assessment for board members to sort of see how the SWAN board is working together. It's a way of gathering kind of feedback. I think the timing of it was meant that it could be then used to, when the sort of the new fiscal year starts in July, you all could take that information, particularly like maybe as a part of an exit interview for those of you that are no longer going to be on the SWAN board, maybe to share with each other what you think the new board members may need or what the board could focus on. That's something I can provide you for the next month's meeting if you are interested in that. If you would rather just table that because pandemic mode and look at something like that next year, let me know.
What do you guys think? I can tell you that in our library, we pretty much forego any type of evaluations this year. Everybody just kind of got a pass. So because of the pandemic, it's really, nobody was able to meet any of their goals or anything like that. So I don't know if it's the best year, but Stacy and Julie, if you guys have got a lot of legacy to leave us, we'd love to hear it. I can leave it up to you guys since you're the ones leaving.
I'll think about it, let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, give it some consideration.
Okay. I mean, it's a great idea. I just don't know if it's the best year for it. Anything else on the calendar, Aaron?
No, and I've noted in here the write-off of doubtful accounts will occur at the June meeting. I'll try to give you an update in May, but just be ready in June. We'll write off some old invoices that we just can't collect. It wouldn't be membership fees. It would just be like old reciprocal borrower invoices we can't collect on that are too small to even pursue.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is an action item to ratify the fiscal year 2022 budget vote. The vote, as Aaron indicated, was as follows: 70 participants, 69 voted yes, 1 abstained, 0 voted no. So as a board, we need to ratify that vote and move the budget forward. Does anybody have any questions about that? I mean, I think we've talked budget to death, but any last questions? This is your last chance before we pass it. Okay. Can I have a motion to ratify the fiscal year 2020 budget vote, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And a roll call, please?
Sure. Blazik,
Yes.
O'Davis,
Yes.
Bussey is absent. Cottrell,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Milivek,
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. All right, start spending, Aaron.
Okay.
And next, you want to talk to us about the Bywater agreement before we vote on that?
Yes, as far as what I wanted you to know, I wrote that up in my report. I think the good news with the three-year agreement is they're willing to lock in the pricing for us which helps with some long-term planning, which is great. And then also our attorney has reviewed this, and we've adjusted any language, and Bywater accepted any changes that were provided by SWAN, and they've sent back their copy that's already pre-signed, and this would just be a matter of giving the authority to approve it and I'll sign that and send that in and we'll be set. The ability to cancel it is something that we worked in there to make sure that if for whatever reason we decided that we're Aspen is just not working well for us, we're not locked in for 3 years, we can cancel it.
Okay. Any questions for Aaron? Can we have a motion to approve the Bywater agreement for 3 years support of Aspen Discovery, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
A roll call?
Blasek, Bo Davis,
Yes.
Bussey is absent. Cottrell,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Millibeck,
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and then the auditor, Aaron, you want to talk about that?
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, Dawn Bussey's not here to fill in with this evaluation, but she and I did review the 3 proposals that we got, and I outlined the pricing here. We didn't think that you would want to see the all 3 proposals or the one that we're recommending, but we felt that at least with Selden Fox, they certainly had the best price. And while neither of us were familiar with them, they did list these libraries as references. And when I reached out to both Homewood and Blue Island, they were very enthusiastic about the quality of the audit and the way the auditor conducted themselves and how available they were. So that sealed the deal for me. If they were a little kind of not happy with it, I was familiar with Sikich, and I would have said that we would, be fine with using Sikich. I was surprised at how high the Mueller price was. Very surprised at that. But I think we'll see about Selden Fox as the auditor for SWAN, at least for the next 2 years. And then we can decide, if we want to just keep working with them and extend that. I do think that these libraries that I've reached out to, the fact that they were so positive was a really good sign.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions? All right, can we have an action item to approve Selden Fox as the financial auditor for fiscal 21 and fiscal year 22?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Oh, roll call.
Blasek,
Yes.
Bo Davis,
Yes.
Bussey is absent. Cottrell,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Millibeck,
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to put before the board? Well, for those of you who are not yet vaccinated, keep the faith, keep trying. You'll get there. I don't really have anything else. Do you, Aaron?
No, other than you talking about the vaccinations, I did have a contact from the Jewel Osco, a doctor there, about a vaccination clinic that Bensonville had done, and I did reach out to them yesterday. So it is interesting to hear you all say how the municipal libraries seem to be having a better go at getting vaccinations done, and how library staff are being included in that. Maybe the library districts are the ones that are having a more difficult time. Although Julie, you did say that your library is also having trouble getting in vaccination sort of qualification.
Yeah, for some reason our village is not counting us. I don't know what their problem is.
Right. That's pretty par for the course for Downers Grove. You've got a screwed up village. Everybody knows it. Let's just say it.
We're trying to play nice. We're still going through Jewel Osco and hoping to get vaccine.
So at least if I hear anything back as far as if they're interested in a large, vaccination program for libraries in SWAN, I did, share that, these libraries are across 4 counties, so there's that difficulty in trying to do that. Perhaps if we see that maybe all library staff eventually are at the state level, or our 4 counties allow these libraries to be included in that, maybe we'll be able to do something for all the remaining SWAN libraries to maybe get in a vaccination clinic. So we'll see what I hear. I know, Stacy, you've really worked hard to try to hear back and get something going for you. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, actually, I sent a message to my staff to contact OSCO again because of what Julie was saying, and we heard back immediately that they're getting their vaccines through the city of Chicago and don't think they can accommodate us. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? All right. It's 10:20, and I will adjourn the meeting. Oh,
Thanks,
I think we're good.
everybody.